Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Zanele. So I am a registered nurse and I'm here on YouTube documenting my life as a nurse in South Africa. So it is so good to be back. It is so good to say that, even though I feel a little bit nervous of how this video is going to turn out, but I don't want us to waste any time. Let us just get on today's reason why we're here. Guys, I bought a house. Yep, I bought a house and I am currently shooting in the house. That's why it's a little bit echo. It's because we still don't have furniture. It is literally myself and my clothes. Sure. So I actually want to take you guys through how I got to this point. I updated a status on Facebook where I was announcing, as well as on Instagram, and if you don't follow me there, please do follow me on Instagram at IamNurseZ. It's easier to post things or to announce things at that side compared to coming here on YouTube and shooting a video, editing and then putting it out. So people who follow me on Instagram already know that I've purchased a house. And even those who follow me on Facebook, they do know. However, I didn't announce on my Nestie's Facebook page that I bought a house. I only announced on Facebook, like my personal account, and also announced on Instagram. So I wrote a status that said, a single black nurse did that. I'm here to announce that I bought a house as a single black nurse. And this video, it's not to gloat or anything like that, but it is to inspire someone, because there were times when I was very doubtful of my capability of pulling this deal off. So I've been toiling around with the idea of buying a house since 2019. Yeah, I think I started having this idea of purchasing a house and thinking about it thoroughly in 2019. Initially, I had wanted to buy land and actually build a house from scratch. But the honest truth is, in the CBD, in the suburbs, land is quite expensive this side of town. The main reason that I had wanted to buy land is because it's bigger. I wanted a big yard, you guys. That was my dream. That is always like the thought that crosses my mind whenever I think about purchasing a house or building a house. Always wanted a massive yard, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to buy land. So I scratched the idea of buying land, which it's very expensive. Like land in town, guys, oh my goodness, it's crazily expensive. But I still believe that it's something that I can still do in the future. And yeah, I haven't scratched it off my vision goal. Anyways, and then I scratched that idea out. I remember I was actually looking for the land. I was ready to buy the land, but thank God for the conversation that I had with my colleagues. I scratched that idea and I put it aside, and I looked at my options. What options do I have? I was still on that job, and if you guys are regulars here, or if you've been here for a while, you would have heard me answering a question that nurses in South Africa, can they live comfortably? Yeah, there was a question like that. And my answer was, a nurse who's working for the public sector is able to buy a car and a house, maybe a townhouse. You wouldn't go beyond that. And I think I had mentioned that on my previous salary, I could not drive the car that I'm driving. I'm driving a mini SUV, which is a capture. I couldn't drive the car that I'm driving and also own the house that I'm owning. I had to settle for a smaller house, and a smaller house with a smaller yard. And that was not something I wanted. That was not my dream house. That was not a home I wanted to own, right? So after putting off the idea of buying land in those villages, I started to think around the idea of buying land in town, and I started looking at the purchase prices and stuff like that. I was very hesitant because of how pricey they were, and I knew it might take me time to build the home of my dreams in that land. Like, I would be able to purchase the land, but it would take me time to be able to save up and build the type of house that I wanted to build for me and my daughter. So I thought about that idea for a while, and I think the entire whole 2020 I thought of that idea, and I was like, no, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I can purchase land and actually build a home. It's just going to take me forever, and I wanted my own space or my own home by the age of 30. So I had put a deadline to the goal, right? I had said, okay, at the age of 30, I want to have moved out of my parents' home. So for those who do not know, or those who are new here, the house that I was staying in all these years, it actually belongs to my parents. It's a family home. My dad was working in the mines, and he bought us a house together with my mom. They bought us a house in the townships of Rustenburg. So in 2013, my mom and dad relocated back at home in the Eastern Cape. So they've been staying there, and they're actually still staying there. And then they left me and my siblings in their house that they had bought here in Rustenburg. So I had been staying in that house ever since I completed nursing school, and I was staying in it with my brother. So I was like, okay, I think I must just put off this idea of wanting a big yard, and I must just put it off and actually downgrade my dreams, you know, and actually face my reality. My reality is that I cannot afford a house that is where I want to purchase a house in terms of the area, and also I cannot afford a house with a very huge yard, a backyard and a garden. I was like, I remember telling my sister to say, you know what, I think I must just stop being too ambitious and actually do what everybody does, you know. People who are my age are purchasing houses at the estates, or like they're purchasing townhouses in estates, purchasing flats, and so let me just do what other people are doing. The last thing that I need is for me to be old without any place that I call home for me and my daughter, because I had clinged on this particular dream of owning a house with a big yard. And yeah, I decided at the beginning of this year, I decided that I was going to purchase a townhouse, right? And I think in May I got my documents ready. I looked for an estate, an estate that I wanted to purchase a townhouse in, and I went and I looked at those townhouses. I wasn't that happy. I think mainly because I grew up in a township, and the honest truth is the size of the yard in the township and the size of the yard in those townhouses. Actually, the townships sometimes tend to have bigger yards than the townhouses, and the size of the houses are also the same. So I think for the fact that I had grown up in a house that was a similar size to the townhouses, and the yard was that big or even smaller, the house didn't excite me much, but I just wanted to purchase it because I knew that I needed to build a home for me and my daughter. There was just zero excitement. Okay, I gave the agent my documents, and the agent put up an application for me to get that house. I think the house was 670,000 rands. And a couple of days later, the agent came back to me and said, hey, your application has been declined because there is an outstanding account on your name, and you need to settle that account so that we can reapply again. I was hurt, let me say that. I was hurt mostly because that was the first time I was applying for a house, and I think I had feared rejection so much because I had experienced the pain of being rejected when you want to purchase a house from the people around me, and it wasn't something I wanted to experience for myself. But yeah, the bank rejected my application and they were like, okay, you're owing this account. And I knew that I was owing an account, but I was just naive and decided to apply without settling the account. So I went on and called the lawyers, or what do you call them? Debt collectors? Yeah, I think they are called debt collectors. I called those people that had the account and I was like, hey, can I settle the account? I settled the account end of May, and my mind was still on that house, and I think I was now more attached because I felt like, okay, if I am getting declined to purchase a townhouse, then these houses that I've been dreaming of getting, it means I've got zero chances of getting it. I've got zero chances of getting it. So I really, really need to secure this townhouse. Like, that's the least that I can do, okay, to secure the townhouse. And then I settled the account end of May, and my heart was still with the townhouse. So the issue was that the people whom I had settled the account with, I think they called them debt collectors, they took forever to release the settlement letter, and actually needed the settlement letter for me to proceed or to reapply for mortgage loan. And I waited for a month. Month later, in June, I had now given up on waiting or like asking for the debt collectors for a settlement letter. Like, those people who will drag you guys, they will give you the settlement letter when they want to give it to you, not when you need it. I was like, okay, it's fine. If God doesn't want me to get this house, it's fine. I'll continue staying in my parents' house. But I was disappointed. But my sister kept on saying, you don't know why God is delaying for you to make this purchase. Remember, like, a home or a house, it's a very huge commitment. So you don't want to buy something and then at the end of the day you regret it, you don't enjoy it. I started to listen up. I think 2 weeks later, after doing exactly that, I saw this neighborhood and I loved it. I was obsessed with it. It's a very quiet neighborhood. It has big yards and relevantly big houses, and I just fell in love with it. It has like standalone houses. I wanted a standalone house, like, with all my heart. And then I saw this neighborhood, right? And I downloaded Property 24, and then I started searching for homes or houses around this area that are up for grabs. And I found this beautiful home. I found a couple of houses actually, and I went to view. I think I viewed 2 houses before I could view this one. But even though I had gone to view the other houses, I was certain that this is the house that I want to purchase. I was certain that this is the house I want to do. My sister always says the one thing she likes about me is that when I decide on something, you guys, when I want something, literally I will do anything and everything to get that particular thing that I want. So even though I went to view the other houses, I was so certain that this is the house I want to purchase. And I eventually came to view this house. I loved it. And when I was house hunting, I had a couple of things in mind that I wanted that would draw me close to the decision of purchasing a property. And those things were, I needed a garden, I needed a big yard, I needed a backyard, and I also needed a flat, like a cottage house at the back of the property. The reason I wanted those 3 is because a garden, I need to take care of my soul, and we all know nature brings that relief of calmness in someone's life, and I just needed a space in my home where I can connect with nature, where I can connect with God. So I knew that I needed a garden. I knew that it was going to be therapeutic for me. And then I needed a big backyard with a play area for my beautiful daughter. For those who are new, I have a 3-year-old daughter. And then I needed a flatlet. The reason I needed a flatlet or a cottage, it was because I'm doing YouTube, right? So I know for a fact is not just YouTube, but content creation. I'm getting into that space, or I'm already into that space. And I knew as I grow in this particular space, I'm gonna need a designated area where I can work in without being distracted. and without having to ask my guests to lower their volume or to lower their movement in the house because I'm shooting videos or I'm shooting content. So I needed like a place where I can just turn it into my own studio. So those were the like 4 things. Or I needed a backyard, obviously. Like if you need all these 3 things, like a flatlet or a cottage, a garden, as well as a play area, you definitely need a big yard for those. So yeah, I needed a big yard. So those were the 4 elements that I was looking at in terms of coming closer to a decision of purchasing a property. And the other properties that I saw that I was interested in, I remember the one in the other side of town. It didn't have a flatlet. The yard was not too big. The garden was like this tiny. It didn't have a play area. And then the other one that I saw, it didn't have a flatlet. And this property ticked all the boxes. It ticked all the boxes, and I didn't waste time. On the day that I came to view it was the day I signed my offer to purchase, and I submitted my documents to the new agent, and I had now received my, what you call it, the settlement letter of the account that was outstanding. And guess what? You know, God works in miraculous ways, you guys, and God always has a better plan for you, you know, because as soon as I received the settlement letter, it was when I saw this house. When I received the settlement letter, I saw this house, and that was it. I was like, this is a sign that God wants me to purchase a house in this neighborhood, and this is the house He wants me to purchase because it ticked all the boxes. So I gave the new agent, now I had used the new agent from the one that I wanted to use when I was purchasing that other property. Reason being, the agent that I was using when I wanted to purchase the house at the estate was actually someone that knows me personally, and they had opinions, and I hated that. Like, they had opinions that you only have your daughter, so you don't have to buy a big house, you don't have to buy an expensive house, just buy a tiny house. And I was like, who are you? Why must you decide for me? So that was the other reason I had to let her go and actually find another agent. So I gave the new agent my documents, and she took them to a bond originator just to see how God has a perfect plan for you. When you're actually thinking God is disappointing you, God has a perfect plan for you. This agent takes my document to a bond originator, only to find out that the bond originator she's taking my documents to is actually the bond originator which the other agent had taken my documents to. Because the bond originator emails me back and says, hey, I see I ran a check for you at the beginning of around May, so the only thing that I'm going to need from you now, it's just 2 pay slips because I still have the other ones, right? And I was like, God, is that you? And then I submitted my 2 salary advices, and I also attached, because she was the one who had said, get us a settlement letter so that we can proceed with the property that I wanted to purchase at the estate. I didn't have to explain myself to a new bond originator to say, hey, I had an outstanding account and this is the settlement letter. I just attached my 2 salary advices, attached the bank statements as well, and also attached the settlement letter. And I was like, hi, I know the last time we tried to purchase a property, I had this outstanding account and you said I must get a settlement letter, and here it is. And then I submitted my document, you guys. I think this was towards the end of June. The weight of wanting to hear what the banks are saying, if you're getting the mortgage loan or not, gosh, it's a lot. It gave me so much anxiety. I was literally asking for everyone to pray for me, even though I wasn't telling people what were they praying for, but I was literally asking everyone to pray for me. Like, the weight was killing me, but I waited. I think I waited something like 1 week and a couple of days, because I remember the bond originator got back to me on my daughter's birthday. Like, if that is not God, if that is not the higher powers, I don't know what it is, but I received a call from the bond originator on the 8th of July. I remember because it was my daughter's birthday, and I was taking my daughter to a location to do her 3-year birthday photo shoot, right? So I was in a store busy buying tutu skirts, balloons and stuff, and a call came in. I had taken a day off at work. A call came in, and it was the bond originator saying, "Hey Zanele, you have been granted a mortgage loan for this particular house. By the way, here is a shocking factor. The house, this current house, is actually way more expensive compared to the townhouse that I got declined for. So I got declined for a house that was costing 680,000 or 90,000, I'm not sure, but it was 680 something thousand, and I got accepted for a home that costs over R1 million. Isn't that God? She called and she was like, "Hey, I just wanted to find out, would you like to put up a deposit? And if so, how much deposit would you like to put up?" And I was like, "Okay, can we talk about the logistics tomorrow? Because right now I'm not in a position of talking." And obviously I was busy with my daughter, but I was like, "Yeah, I do accept the offer that the bank is giving me." And the bank gave me such a beautiful offer for someone who had an account that was outstanding. I understand very well that people who purchased homes with outstanding account, their interest rate would be very, very, very high. And with my interest rate, when I told my sister, she was like, "What? There is no way that is your interest rate," because I was actually given the standard interest rate of South Africa currently on properties. And my sister was like, "For you to get this type of interest rate after having had an outstanding account which you settled a few weeks ago, that is amazing." So I accepted the offer of the bank. I put up a deposit. I put up a 10% deposit. The nice thing about putting up a 10% deposit, you guys, is the fact that it actually reduces your monthly installments, because when I looked at it, if I hadn't put up a deposit, I would be paying more monthly installments, and it wouldn't be comfortable for me. So I put up a deposit, and I looked at my monthly installment, and I realized this is money that I can take out. I can easily take out from my salary and not feel like I'm choking or drowning in debt. I signed my documents. I went and signed my first document with the registering attorney, with the transferring attorneys, and also went to sign with the registering attorneys. Listen, guys, attorneys are not cheap. Lawyers, if you do watch my videos, please tell me why you guys are so flippin' expensive. I paid 60,000 rands in cash for both the registering attorneys and the transferring attorneys. 60,000 rands in cash. Oh my goodness, like, I think that is the amount of money that truly drove me crazy. The deposit didn't drive me crazy because I had money. I remember I had just resigned from my previous job, so I still had like money that came from my previous job, but I took all of that and put it up for deposit. So I literally had to come up with the 60,000 rand in a space of 3 months or 2.5 months. I was always anxious, and the weight of waiting for the house to be registered in your name and for you to finally receive the keys and to get in the house and knowing that it's yours, you're now done with the logistics of paperwork. Oh, I was able to raise the 60 grand in time, and I received my keys on the 1st of October. I am officially a homeowner. Currently in my cottage, I have tenants that are staying there. The previous owner had rented out this house and also rented out the cottage. So when I moved in, the tenants requested that they continue with their contract of rental. So obviously their contract had ended with the previous owner, so they requested that I renew their contract, and I decided to take the flatlet and actually give it to the agent for rental, to put it up for me for rental, because I don't think I have time to be dealing with tenants, you guys. I don't have the time and the stress to be calling tenants and finding out when are they paying rent, or to be fighting with tenants about this and that, tenants picking up and leaving without me, without them paying me and stuff like that. So I was like, nah. I called the agent lady whom I bought the house from. I called her and I was like, can you list up my cottage for me for rental? Because the old tenants are actually deciding to stay. And she is having an appointment with them this Friday. So she's going to be handling the rental of this particular cottage. I'm gonna rent it out. I don't know for how long, but for now, I don't think I need to use it as a studio. So why not generate income with it? This is good money. Let me continue renting it out. And then, because this is a 3-bedroom house, 1 bedroom is going to be mine, the other one is going to be my daughter's, and then I can have the other room as a shooting or a studio room for now, until such a time where I can see that my content creation craft is growing and it requires me to move in there. Then that's when I'm going to stop renting it out. But yes, and I always say that for me, this is God showing up, because the neighborhood that I bought a house in, I actually know it from my childhood. My mom was a domestic worker and my dad was a mine worker. So there were times when I would go with my mom where she used to work. So I really know this area, this side of town, the north of Rustenburg. I know it because my mom used to work this side. So I know this place, I know the houses, I know the yards. And I remember from my childhood days, like when I was still in high school, I would go with my mom to her workplace and I would help her clean those houses, and I would dream to have such beautiful homes, such beautiful and huge yards. I would dream to live in those spaces, to live in those neighborhoods, how quiet they are, the trees, the birds, all those nice gems. I would dream to have those. So for it to actually be a reality for me, and it's just amazing. And it felt like I had written it off, you know, from the high school days to now. It felt like I had written it off. It felt like it was a far-fetched dream. But for me to have moved in here now, it's something else. It's really something that I myself cannot explain. The fact that my tenants are actually white people are staying in my cottage. If you know the history of domestic workers in South Africa, you will know that that cottage was actually designed for a black person. It was designed for a helper. Domestic workers in South Africa were staying in cottages like this one, but today it is actually the other way around. A black person is staying in the main house, and in the cottage stays a white person. This has nothing to do with race, but it has everything to do with our history as black people in South Africa. And I wrote a status and said, if this is not my ancestors showing off, then I don't know what it is. It truly is a blessing for me to be where I am. And the status that I posted on Instagram and Facebook, I said I'm a single female black nurse. I mean, we all know that all these categories that I had just mentioned, it is not easy for you to attain something if you fall in any of them. And the fact that I fall in all of them, I'm single, for me to have been able to convince the bank that I need a mortgage loan alone. Like, there's no one else that's going to be helping me to pay this mortgage loan. There is no one else that's going to step in if anything happens to me to help and pay this mortgage loan. I believe the banks would trust people that are coming as a couple to lend mortgage loans to, compared to a single person. But the bank saw me fit. They saw me capable as a single person to be able to keep up to my promises and to this commitment. I ticked that box. And also the fact that I'm black. As black people, the honest truth is it's not easy for us to attain things. It's not easy for us to attain big and beautiful things in South Africa. And I ticked that. I broke that barrier. And the fact that I'm female, the truth also is being female means you come second best. I broke that barrier. The fact that I'm a nurse, anyone and everyone knows the paycheck of nurses in South Africa and in Africa as a whole. And for a nurse, a single black nurse, to be able to close off this deal, to be able to attain this deal, that for me, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. And to put it cherry on top, to have white tenants, like I'm a landlady. Literally, these people are calling me a landlady. You guys can also start calling me a landlady. Yes, guys, I am finally a homeowner and I am a landlady. I'll be staying in this beautiful home with my daughter. I'm not going to be doing a house tour, unfortunately, because this is my private space with my child, and I honestly want to create boundaries between me and the internet. I know there are a lot of people that love me on here, and I do not want to ignore the fact that the internet is also filled with people who are unfriendly, and I don't think I'm ready to receive those type of people in my space. So yeah, this is the home that I'm staying in, and I will be renovating it, but definitely not now. Give me 1 year. I think in a space of 1 year, that's the first thing that I want to do. I want to gift myself with a new kitchen. I've got an entire whole kitchen, you guys. It has double ovens and it is beautiful. I love it, but I'm gonna take it down because it is not my style, and put in a kitchen that I truly love. The other thing that I need to do in terms of renovation is my bathroom. I have one bathroom and a toilet, separate toilet and a bathroom. It's just a bath and a sink this side, and on the other room it's just the toilet. So I'm going to be having renovations on both of the rooms. The other renovation that I'm going to do is like on the kitchen. There's a space where I want to open a door into the laundry room. So I actually have a laundry room. I have a laundry room, like my laundry machine won't be staying in my kitchen. I have a laundry room. So, however, the laundry room, I actually explained in one of the vlogs that is gonna go up after this video. The door, like for me to go to the laundry room, I need to go outside the house through the kitchen door and go all the way the other side of the house and enter on a door at the laundry room. And inside the laundry room, there's a door into the garage. So there's no door from the garage into the lounge, and I'm okay with that because I'm just going to open a door here in the kitchen. I think that's going to happen when I finally gift myself with a new kitchen. I'm going to open a door here in the kitchen that walks into the laundry, and then from the laundry you walk into the garage. That's how I'm going to do it. So those are the renovation projects that are going to be on here, but it's definitely not anytime soon. So please don't be saying, "See, renovation videos." They're not coming anytime soon because I needed to save up. I've cleaned out my savings, so I need to save up and start from scratch, and I've given myself a target of 1 year to start with the renovations. So it's going to be the bathroom, the toilet, the kitchen, the laundry room. Those are the only places I'm going to be renovating, but the rest of the house I'm going to paint white. I don't know what color this is. I think is this peach? Yeah, the house is currently painted peach. I think you guys can see the reflection of the light. It's currently painted peach, and I want to change all of that. I'm gonna put wooden floors in the lounge area, dining area, and in this passage I'm gonna put wooden floors, and the rest of the house is just gonna stay as it is, except changing the color of the walls to white. So yeah, this is the life update that I am bringing to you guys, and I am fully backed on creating content. My daughter hasn't moved in yet. My daughter is still at our family home with my mom. Today I went to look for a daycare for her around, and I found this beautiful daycare, you guys. It's just literally like 2 streets away from my home. I think it's 2 blocks away from my home. It's so pretty. I went there. I can't believe I've grown so much. I've grown so much. You know, I looked at myself this morning driving to that daycare. A friend of mine had suggested that I go look at that school because she stays around the area and she has children too. So I drove to that school. It's beautiful. It has cameras in each and every single classroom in the play area. And it's just amazing. And I got there and kids were crying, like new kids were crying, and the teachers were cuddling with those kids, you know, like it was so beautiful to watch. And I want that space for my daughter. So for me to be driving around looking for daycares and stuff like that to accommodate my baby girl, that shows growth, and it shows God's favor upon my life, you know. My dream was to always give to my kids more than what my parents had given unto me, because my parents gave me the best of their ability. My mom was a domestic worker, my dad was a mine worker. These were people who didn't go to school, but they produced this woman that I am. So they worked exceptionally well, and I am so grateful and thankful for them. Literally everything and anything that I do is dedicated to them as well as my daughter. I think my inspiration comes from that, from my parents working so hard from what they had to what they have now. My parents have really done exceptionally well for themselves, especially for the equipment they had or the resources they had. They have built so much for themselves, and I always said I'm going to measure my success against my parents. If my parents were able to do as much as they did with whatever they had back then, I need to do twice as much for my baby girl with the resources that I have currently. So to be driving to that daycare, that to me was an affirmation of that dreams do come true. I looked at that daycare and I said, it's everything that I want my child to go through. They have swimming lessons, they have ballet, it's everything that I want my child to experience. So it was so exciting, you guys. It was really, really exciting. So she will be moving here. I'm just not certain if I want to take her to daycare at the end of this month or maybe next week, Monday. I'm really not certain. I'm gonna drive back to my parents' house today because my mom is still here, so she stays with my mom. My mom is in Northwest. She's with my mom at the family house. So I want to go at the family house tomorrow and discuss with my mom to let me know if she thinks she should start Monday, meaning she must move in with me this weekend, or she should stay with my mom for the month and then she can move in with me end of the month. But I know my mom, she's gonna say let us start end of the month because they have to detach. My mom brought my child up because I gave birth and stayed 5 months of maternity in Eastern Cape, and then after that I drove to Rustenburg to work. So my mom brought up my child from the time she was 5 months, so they have attachment issues together with my dad. But it was so pleasing to hear my father saying, you know what, we love your daughter with everything that we have and everything that we are, but we also want the best for her, so we have to release her because we understand that here where we're staying in EC, we can give her all the love in the world, but we cannot be able to give her the type of education and the type of quality of life that she's going to get when she stays with you that side. One of the reasons we relocated as your parents, it was to make sure that we want to give you guys the quality of education that we couldn't attain when we were your age. So we relocated to Rustenburg so that we can produce what we have produced with you guys. So we would want you to do the same with your daughter, and for us to not want to release her because it was so difficult to convince them that I need to take her. We had agreed that they're gonna give her to me when she turned 1. They refused. She turned 2, they refused, and now she turned 3, and they finally released her and gave me their blessings. So yeah, she is through with my mom, so I'm gonna go and consult with my mom to see if she is gonna move this side this weekend or she's gonna move month end. And yeah, I'm going to be staying with my big brother because obviously this is a standalone house. I don't think I want to stay alone, you know. Yeah, so my brother will be moving in with me very soon, and her girlfriend might also come stay with us together with their kids. So yeah, this is my life update. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think it's going to be super duper long, but yeah, I needed to share my testimony, not just for YouTube, but for also for myself to be able to reflect to this video, you know, of when I attained my first property at 30. Yeah, I think that's the other thing that is very exciting, the fact that I knew I wanted a house by the age of 30, and it happened. It clocked right at the age of 30. I reached my targeted timeline goal. So yes guys, that is my life update, and I am now going to end this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a massive thumbs up and comment down below if you've got anything that you would like to see from me, except for a house tour, but But yeah, if there's anything like related to purchasing a house, or anything really that you would like me to talk about in terms of this milestone, please do comment that below. I love you guys so very much. Do not forget to subscribe if you are new here. I'll see you guys on my next one.